guess the flashlight's going to be up. So this is kind of why I remember putting the 4L80 in the car, because I'm doing 60 at 3 grand with my foot in the throttle, coasting 2,500. So barely even touching on the stall, it's 3 grand. So that's why I put the overdrive transmission lockup in it. But whatever, I really just drive this around the city more than anything, so it kind of is what it is. But for having third gear kind of burnt up and not holding, this thing's a cruiser, man. We're not going to push it, because as soon as I burn up high gear in this thing, then the car's kind of useless. At least right now it holds it. It just doesn't hold much power. So we're still just cruising around with the correction turned off and the auto tune running on really tight parameters. So like, I can't really look at it right now, but I think the amount of correction I get is 10% per cell, or 2 numbers of VE, so which is really tight. But I mean, I'm really narrow. This thing's getting really dialed in. I mean, driving for 2 weeks with auto tune running has gotten, we've gotten the wideband pretty tight there. I'm cruising at like 15.2, 14.8 to 15.2. High vacuum, light load. I mean, the thing still gets like 7 miles to the gallon, but there's nothing really much I can do about that right now. Oh, is this my exit coming up? Let's shimmy on over here. So, all in all, I'm happy. I mean, something like this, you can't complain about fuel economy. It is what it is. If you have a project car and the thing do just rolling burnouts all into third gear, the trade-off is having something that sucks down fuel. And I mean, I've been leaning this thing out a little harder and harder and harder every day. I was driving, when I first started driving the car to work and back, it was like a 13.9 or something cruising, and the car stinked. It got terrible fuel economy. I mean, every time I went to work, it was like an eighth of a tank, a quarter tank every 4, almost a full tank every 4 days. Now I've stretched a full tank almost 2 weeks, so I'm using a little bit less than an eighth tank of a day. So, but yeah, so I mean, I've gone from, then I got it up to like 14.5 to 15.0 cruising, and then I decided, well, let's just keep going. Let's see how far we go until the motor doesn't like it. And cruising at like 15.2 to 16.0, I mean, light cruise. It's damn near no load. When I start getting into load, then we'll go down into the 15s, low 15s, and then stay there. But the car kind of responded to it pretty well. I don't feel chugging. I don't feel like lean power loss. It's not backfiring. It's not hesitating. It's not having any stalling issues. I mean, you can watch the wideband right now. Cruising somewhere between 15.3 and 16. Every once in a while it jumps to 18. That, and I have a massive exhaust leak. So for people that are familiar with this, like a turbo crossover kind of thing, there's like most things have like an expansion joint or a flexible joint between the two manifolds, because things expand and contract. This is going to be the third one that I've had to put in. The first one, all the webbing came apart on the inside, and then it blew out. Luckily, I caught the webbing when I did, because I could rip all that mesh out before I went into the turbo. And then This one, I ripped all the webbing out on the inside before I welded it in. And now there's just, I mean, you can audibly hear a massive exhaust leak. See, I'm still idling at like 13s to 14s. I mean, I can smell it right now. The thing stinks. Take a little fuel out of it, but a lot of it has to do with the intake manifold temperature correction. I have the intake air temp on the other side of the throttle body, so it's on the manifold, the engine side of the throttle body, and the thing heat soaks so bad that this has been a tuning error that I've been fighting as long as I've had this PCM in the car. Come to find out, it's that it just swings so far. I mean, I'll sit here and idle for, you know, a red light, and I'll go from 80 some odd intake air temps, 70 some odd air intake temps to 130, 140, and then I start moving, and it comes back down to whatever, and it's making that correction table like really do some weird stuff, because I'm really like working the high to low on the thing. You know, I'll cold start it and it will be stupid rich, and then once the car is running and warmed up, it heat soaks that sensor. Even though it's an open element sensor, it heat soaks it so bad that then I've got like lean spikes and rich spikes and all sorts of just goofy stuff. So I've like reworked that table, and it looks so wrong. Like it's a table that's based off like the ideal gas law. You know, as air gets warmer, it gets thinner. And this thing is completely backwards. Like, as the air gets hot, it's putting more fuel into the motor, and I don't know. And then as the air is cold, it's pulling a bunch of fuel out because the tables are getting so skewed by that. Anyway, back to what we were talking about, which I have no idea what we were talking about. Lean air cruise, barely in the throttle. I mean, this thing, it's great. And then, you know, when I get into the throttle, it comes right down to, you know, 13.5, 12.5, somewhere in there. So it seemed to put some fuel in here and there. Let me show you this that correction table. Manifold air density table. This thing used to be like that. And that is what I've had to do to get this thing to kind of work right. So, okay, right here it says 125 when cold, 75 when hot. We're doing the exact opposite for second gear. Who knows if any of this is even audible? I might be just talking to complete nothing. So this second gear, it doesn't shift out of second gear until like 50 mile an hour. I think the next real big step is take the transmission out of this thing and take it to someone who's good at transmissions, not me and talking to people and all that hokey crap. Down to 13.1. Alright, well, I'm almost home. That was my Rambltron for today. Thank you. Remember, like, subscribe, comment, tell me what you want to see, what you want to know about the car, you know, whatever. Give me a reason to make more content, or an idea to make more content. Alright, until next time.